What's up, gamers? You got TigerChainsaw. Let me take you back to middle school when God of War came out. In this era of my life, I had a couple of friends, and one of these friends was always the friend that knew of the mature games, the extra gory ones, the ones with the boobs. And so this friend was talking to us about God of War and how he was gonna get a PS2 just to play it. He was super stoked. He was a GameCube kid, but God of War got him so excited. And so in return, it kind of got me excited, and at least it made me aware of the series. And so I didn't play it when it came out, but I played it shortly afterward, and I got a lot to say about this game. So if this is your first time on my channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button because I've got tons of game reviews on this channel ranging from the 80s all the way to the PS5. And yes, I'm going to be reviewing the entire God of War series, starting with God of War from 2005 on the PS2. Santa Monica Studios was already around and had released a couple of games before God of War. They were generally successful, but it wasn't until 2005 when God of War was released that Santa Monica would become a household name. The first game in the God of War series brought to life Kratos and his epic adventure of revenge. The hands of death could not defeat Kratos. But will it defeat this God of War review? Let's kick this off with the God of War plot, but be warned, spoilers are ahead. God of War shines bright in all phases of my grading scale, but the story may be the best part. I love history, and I learned so much about Greek mythology playing through this game than I ever did in a history class. Set in ancient Greece, you are Kratos, a Spartan warrior who serves the gods. In a massive battle against some barbarians, Kratos and his army are finally defeated. On the verge of death, Kratos makes a deal with the god of war, Ares, to serve him if Ares would spare Kratos and his men while giving him the power to defeat his enemies. Ares agrees and bestows the Blades of Chaos around Kratos' wrists, a sign of his power, but also his slavery. With the Blades, Kratos easily defeats the barbarian king. While working for Ares, Kratos develops a lust for war and blood during his battles and eventually attacks a village under the command of Ares. Kratos is so high on killing that in his bloodlust, kills his own wife and daughter, who were actually transported to this city by Ares. Enraged by murdering his own family, Kratos swears vengeance on Ares. Now, during the attack of this village, an oracle places a curse on Kratos for his hideous crimes. She coats his skin with the dead ashes of his wife and daughter, making his skin a ghostly white, a reminder of the terrible acts he committed against his family. With his mind set on revenge, Kratos seeks out help in killing Ares. During this quest, he discovers that Pandora's box grants the power to kill a god. With instructions from Athena, who had been feuding with her brother, Ares, Kratos sets out into the desert of the Lost Souls to find the Titan Kronos, who carries a temple on his back containing Pandora's box. Now, Ares isn't stupid. He knows what's going on, and so he sends a few harpies to steal Pandora's box away from Kratos. And he also sends a spear directly into Kratos. Kratos is able to survive, and he then tracks the harpies down in Athens, where he steals the box back and then opens it, granting him godlike powers. Ares does his best to strip Kratos of any power or magic, but Kratos is still able to kill him. With the death of Ares, Kratos becomes the new god of war, but his nightmares of killing his family remain. In the end, Kratos tries to commit suicide, but Athena steps in and transports him to Mount Olympus to take his rightful spot on the throne. I love stories of revenge, and God of War is one of the most epic tales of revenge that I've ever been able to play through. It was so well done, it was so well told, and I loved learning about all the Greek gods in God of War. The plot of God of War is awesome. God of War is packed, full of action, and a few small puzzles. It wasn't just button mashing, but you had to remember what was effective against certain enemies. Yes, this is definitely a hack and slash game, and you will be killing hordes of enemies, but smashing the attack button may not be effective for every opponent. Sometimes you have to wait for an opening, you have to block, or you have to use a different weapon to proceed. I think the difficulty curve of God of War is also superb. I walked a fine line between death and defeating my enemies. I rarely died during my playthrough, but it was also challenging at times, and overall, it was just really fun with the difficulty of this game. It was so well balanced. God of War is often associated with quick time events or QTEs. When you are finishing off a boss or a strong opponent, you are prompted to hit certain buttons in time to kill this opponent. I don't recall many games having this feature at the time, but I do know God of War definitely made it popular. QTE is okay in small doses, and God of War did a nice job not putting it in every battle, and it saved it for the special fights. Speaking of those special fights, let's take a look at some of my favorite boss battles in God of War. Because after all, God of War is kind of famous for having some epic boss fights. Kicking things off right from the start, the first boss is the famous Hydra fight that dropped so many jaws when the demo first came out. God of War is just full of gore, and this first boss exemplifies what it was gonna be in the series. I loved slamming the Hydra's head down on that wooden mast. Now next up, you'll encounter Medusa, who I admittedly got stoned by a few times before wrangling her up in my arms and ripping her head off. After that, Kratos will then face an armored giant Minotaur. The Minotaur's health bar is covered in armor. You first need to destroy the actual armor on his body to reveal the actual health bar and then hurt him. Little things like this, like breaking the fourth wall, go a long way in keeping me engaged in video games. As for the final boss, Ares, he was pretty tough in my opinion. The section where Kratos must protect his family in his mind was difficult, and I had to replay it a few times before fighting off all of the enemies. God of War's bosses are challenging, but not impossible. The battles are fun, and that's key in making the player want to hit that restart button instead of quitting. With each boss falling to their knees in defeat to the Blades of Chaos, I felt satisfied. God of War just knew how to set the stage for epic battles. Besides all of the hack and slash action in God of War, you're going to be exploring a little bit. There's going to be small treasure chests that are littered throughout the world where Kratos can open them up to become more powerful, restore his health or magic meter. Speaking of magic, Kratos can learn a few different tricks, including shooting lightning bolts, an ultra rage form, and using Medusa's head to turn enemies into stone. Now there's a good variety of enemies to fight throughout this game, and all of them have themes to ancient Greece. There's going to be harpies, sirens, minotaurs, centaurs, and plenty of soldiers, just to name a few. The opponents felt fresh and make each new stage exciting to play. You won't just come across enemies, however. There's going to be a few gods that you'll cross paths with, and some of them will even guide you or grant you powers to help you on your journey. Now, this review would not be complete without me pointing out the addition of the mini sex game with two naked females waiting for Kratos in bed. Now, I would love to show you guys Kratos' epic threesome with two girls that have huge honkers, but I can't because YouTube would ban this video or put an age restriction on that, and we don't want that. So instead, I will tell you how to play this sex mini game. What you have to do is you have to push the buttons on screen, you have to mash them, and the goal is to get this vase to fall off a nightstand by rocking the bed so hard with these ladies that the vase falls off, and when that happens, you get some orbs. It's a happy ending for everyone, and I guess that's really the sex minigame. God of War is an absolute masterpiece on the PS2. Santa Monica Studios showed up big time in their second game. The story is tremendous, the history is fun to learn, enemies are challenging and unique to kill, and the game is filled with epic boss fights and an epic soundtrack. If you haven't played God of War, you need to get a copy and see what started this critically acclaimed series. It's not perfect, but it's close. God of War scores a 9.5 out of 10, making this a masterpiece. So that was my review of God of War from 2005 on the PS2. Gamers, I would love to hear from you guys now. When did you first start playing the God of War series? Was it back in 2005? Did you start with the original, or did you jump in at a later date? Let me know your thoughts on the entire series or your thoughts on this game in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be reviewing the entire God of War series. And if you love game reviews, I've got a ton of them on my channel. In fact, I just released one with the Rift Breaker on the PS5, and let me tell you something, that game does not get glowing scores like I gave God of War, but check that one out after this. Gamers, thanks for watching, and make sure you play a video game today.